There is so much power in being the person that shows up. And sometimes doing the unexpected, sometimes doing the thing that really makes no sense, but you have sort of this gut feeling, this sort of value that you have an opportunity to lean into. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the power of showing up and why I decided to last minute get a rental car and drive 7 hours in one day to be in an event. Hello friends, hello. I'm so excited to be back with you. We took a little bit of a pause at the end of our last episode for August to really it was sort of an unintentional pause, if I'm just going to be totally honest. As all of you you get in busy flow seasons, and we had a lot of project work. We were very blessed to have this great opportunity to work with an organization in August that kept us really busy the last month of summer, my son getting ready for school. And so we took that as a time to just kind of pause, reset, plan out what we want our fall season of podcast episodes to look like. So I'm so excited to be back with you, not only today for our episode all about the power of showing up and saying yes to the unexpected, but also for some really exciting and amazing guests that we have planned coming up for you. And I'm just really excited. I've already recorded some of those episodes, and let me tell you, they are so good. You're going to absolutely love our guests. So stay tuned. Make sure that you are following or subscribing to the podcast on whatever channel you listen to your podcast, or of course we always have our full videos on YouTube, so go ahead and check those out if you like to watch the videos. But make sure that you stay followed so you know when new episodes get released, and we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming of our Tuesday mornings at I think it's like 5 Central Time, whatever time you end up listening to it. So love to have you. Please, as always, the invitation to reach out and share, what do you want to see on the podcast? What things do you love that I talk about? What guests do you want to see? I'm always open to that. So today, though, I'm really excited to dive back into something that actually happened, and I was going to record the podcast for this earlier, but like I said, we're in a season, right? We were in a season, and so I'm really excited to talk about it now. And there's so many different angles. I'm like, how I want to talk about this, but one of the things that really came up to me is just this idea of really nurturing your relationships, and there's how much power there is in being the person that shows up and sometimes doing the unexpected thing. And so back in early August, I had a client. So there's a client that I have worked with, an amazing client. She was one of my clients who is a speaker, and she's a coach, and she has a leadership development company, kind of like what I have. And she went through my Speaker Space Academy, which is my signature program for helping people to use speaking to really grow their brand and grow their business. And so we've known each other for almost 2 years now. She had gone through my Speaker Space Academy. She then became a one-on-one client who I was working with and really helping her from, I would say, definitely from the speaking side, but also just mindset, performance, overall business things. And she was hosting her own leadership event. This was her second year of hosting this leadership event where she had planned it. She had gotten such great turnout and attendees. She was also going to be delivering one of her keynotes at this event. And one of my other amazing clients who also had been part of the academy and been a one-on-one client, who I connected, they had met through the program, she had hired him to speak at her event. And so they both were going to be speaking at this event in Minnesota, which not anywhere near an airport. I'm just going to say that. And I was going to be able to attend, and then we had some other things come up and I wasn't going to be able to. And so I was like sending them all my love and was like so excited for them and bummed I was going to be missing it. And I had all of these crazy things going on in August that was keeping me so busy, all of the reasons. And I want to say excuses because they were very real things. Like I was not supposed to be available, and then all of a sudden I was available, but I'm like, oh, I've got events coming up and all these things I need to do. But when you have all of the reasons not to do something, and yet you have this feeling that you should, and not even should in a bad like pressure way, because I always say we shouldn't should on ourselves, but this just calling seems a little intense, but this just like feeling that like you should be there, like you want to be there, but you just feel like I should be at this thing. And so as I was prepping her for this event and, you know, getting excited, a couple days leading up to it, and honestly for a while leading up to it, I was like, oh man, I really wish I could be at this event. And then a couple days leading up to it, I was like, I need to be there. Like, I don't know how. Logistically, it makes no sense. First of all, just where this event was happening was like an hour and a half to 2 hours from the closest airport. Like, I kind of joked with her. I'm like, hey, you're in like the middle of nowhere, Minnesota. It is not easy to get there, between getting a flight there and then having to rent a car and drive a couple hours. And so logistically, not easy. Also, last minute flights kind of expensive. And so literally like the day before, I was like, I need to be at this event. I feel like I need to be at this event. And so I started looking up flights. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So then I started looking up how long would it take me to drive to this location in Minnesota. And I remember messaging my assistant and being like, hey, because she knew that we had a really, really busy August coming up. And I was like, hey, you're going to laugh at me, but I think I'm debating tomorrow driving to this event. And she literally like sent a message back and was just like, I'm laughing because of course this is typical Julie, in like the most loving way she said that. I just had this feeling that I wanted so badly to be at that event to support these clients of mine who I have known for years, who have, you know, invested time and money into me, who I'm invested in their success and their talks and having helped prep them. It's just like, I need to be in that room. And I just kept feeling that gut feeling. And I've talked about that gut feeling before, where logistically and maybe logically it makes no sense. Like, I could have just sent them my love. I could have just cheered them on from afar, and it would have been easier, quote unquote. It would have been easier. But I just kept having this feeling going, I should be in that room. You know, have you ever had that feeling where you just like, whatever it is, you're like, logistically, it might not make any sense. It might not make any sense to anybody else. And it might actually make things more difficult for other people. But you just had this feeling. So I remember even going to my husband, who is always the most supportive. And I said, hey, we have a few things going on right now, but I think that I'm going to get a rental car, and mostly just because I didn't want to have to drive my car and put all those miles on my car. I was like, I think I'm going to get a rental car tomorrow and leave really early, and I'm going to drive 7 hours. I'm going to grab a hotel room so that I can be at this event where my clients are speaking. And, you know, at first he was kind of like, okay, so how are we going to do that? And I had a full calendar that next day. And so it required a lot of jigsaw puzzling from my amazing assistant, Katie. Thank you so much. And my clients who had to move that next day. But of course he was like, yeah, if you feel like you need to do it. And I think one of the things I kept coming back to was, I think I'll regret it if I don't go. And he even said that too, because I was just so conflicted. Because obviously that was putting more on him too, right? You're sometimes going to inconvenience people when you get that gut feeling. And it was going to put more on him of just like me being gone another 2 days. I was already traveling quite a bit around that time. And, you know, just him having to help extra, picking up, dropping off, things like that. But he was like, I think you're going to regret it too. And so I did it. And I got the rental car. I drove the 7 hours. I had the most amazing other clients who I was able to take some of my client calls from the car, which was awesome. Made the car drive go quicker. And I'm so glad I did. And as I was thinking about it, there's a couple things I wanted to share with you. I mean, so I was able to meet up with one of of my past clients the night before. I had to tell him because I was like, do you need to ride from the airport? And so we were able to meet up, and I have known him for almost 2 years, and we had never met in person. So to be able to have a hug and have a conversation, and then being able to surprise my client the next day and just showing up at her event. And I did have this little bit of a moment where I was like, what if she's like not happy about this? I did have this moment, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm surprising someone who already might be a little bit nervous before giving her keynote, before she's got this big event. What if she's like not happy? What if I freak her out? What if she's not happy I'm here? What if they don't let me in? I mean, I didn't buy a ticket. Are they going to let me in? So I had all these thoughts. I was like, nope, we're showing up. And her reaction was just priceless. And getting to be in that room, not only did she do an amazing and he did amazing, but all the other speakers were amazing. And I had takeaways. I just remember feeling like it was totally worth it. And then I actually hopped in the car at the end of that event and drove home. That the 7 hours that night, I think I left there at 3, so I got home pretty late. And I'm just so grateful that I did that. But a couple of things that I wanted to share with you about it that I was thinking about is just how much power there is in showing up for people and how your presence really matters. And I have always really valued relationships and connecting people and making people to feel seen. And I'll be totally honest, like when you get busy with your own life, when other things pop up, when you get busy personally, professionally, we can sometimes get selfish, not in a bad way, because it's like you need to take care of yourself, but we can sometimes only see within our own bubble of what's going on in our life. And I was feeling sort of disconnected where it's like, especially when you work with people virtually and you don't get to see them in person, you don't get to get that connection with them. And I was like, I think I also need this for my own soul of like, just to be able to see them. And here's this opportunity to see them in action and get them a hug and just show that I'm there to support them. So not just for your clients or for your, teams or people that you work with, but just your relationships in general. There is so much power in you showing up for them and going that extra mile. And I think for me, and actually this just came to me now as I'm just kind of reflecting and just kind of chatting with you, is one of the biggest things I have shared, and I think I've done an episode on this, but if not, one will be coming, is with 2025 being such a crazy year for us personally with just a lot of stuff going on. I say when we seek out the opportunities, what we get out of it is I have seen how much support that it has drawn out from people, from friends, from family who have just shown up for us in the biggest ways and been there to help out with things. When I had surgeries and people would be dropping stuff off at my house and reaching out to me, and we've got all this house stuff going on, and just friends and family who are just dropping things essentially to come and show up for us. And that has really been one of the most powerful things that has really stood out for me. And it's really made me kind of hold up a mirror and go, when you're in a season where you need the support, like take it and appreciate it. And it sometimes can be hard for those of us who are like, we don't want to be the one having to like get other people's support, but find those micro moments where then you can support others. And then one of the things I look forward to is when we get on the other side of those seasons where we need a lot of support, and then we can just pour into other people. And so for me, this was an opportunity to be like, so many people have shown up and supported us over the last year with things we've needed. And this was my opportunity to show up and support other people in kind of an unexpected way. And so one of the challenges I have for you is just to think about, there is so much, and sometimes it's just a small thing. It doesn't have to be, driving somewhere for, 14 hours and booking a hotel room. It might just be like meeting up with someone or surprising someone with something or showing up for them in a different way. I mean, you have no idea how much that might mean to them. And then I think the other thing was just sometimes saying yes to the unexpected thing, like trusting your own gut and I talk about this all the time, is like trusting yourself. And even when it doesn't always make sense, and being willing to just like do it and be like, yeah, I'm just going to do this thing because for some reason I just feel like I should. And for me, again, it was really just aligning to values that I have of like, these people have invested, in me and trusted me, and we've built this relationship, and I want to be able to do this thing for them and be there to support them. And I really feel like it was mutually beneficial to be there to support them, but also, again, I got so much out of it as well. And so just one of the things I wanted to share with you, it was such a fun opportunity to meet them in person, to strengthen that, kind of relationship with them. I always think it's fun too when you have like all that time in the car by yourself driving, like, man, you can think of ideas, all of these different things. And so my challenge for you is, where do you have an opportunity, either personally or professionally, to show up for someone, either in a small or a big way? What could you do that could just be the thing that maybe they just need, that extra little boost of support, or for them to just know that you're there cheering them on with what it is that you're doing? And the other thing is, where do you have an opportunity to maybe say yes to the unexpected thing that you don't really know where it's going to lead. It might not make sense to other people. It might not make sense, logistically or logically, but you just are like, I feel like I have that feeling like I should do this, that I need to do this, that I want to do this. And where can you lean into that and just see where it takes you? So hopefully my lessons from this stand out for you. And hopefully you get an opportunity to do something like that. And just remember when people have showed up for you and the power of showing up for other people.